This hateful IRL streamer is now facing more than 60 years in prison, was given a $1 million bond while he awaits trial in multiple criminal cases. And if you don't...
Well guys, this is our next one. Welcome back to the channel. This guy, he's actually pretty insane, because being racist and on top of it, actually wanted was to actually shoot someone for spite. So pretty insane stuff. Let's get right into it, guys. Like this video if you like this type of content.
I don't know who this is. We're talking about the IRL streamer Chud the Builder and the absolute dumpster fire of a mess that he got himself into. So it's safe to say things aren't really looking good for this guy. It all comes after he essentially made himself internet's public enemy #1 by streaming himself throwing around a bunch of racist insults and trying to get people to engage with him either verbally or physically. And when they do, he often then brandished a weapon like pepper spray or even a firearm. And then the person antagonizes to make the decision, is this worth ruining my life over? But regardless, this idiot has been doing this for months on repeat in the name of freedom of speech. And then
And again, another content creator who is out there just looking for views, guys. Just looking for views. They will do anything for views. That's how it is right now with these content creators.
Of course, he got banned and demonetized from site after site for his hateful content and behavior. He's essentially the worst form of IRL streaming. And as many of you guys know, I am very familiar with this niche, as I've been covering the worst of it for many years now, even flying to both South Korea for the Johnny Smalley stuff and the Philippines for the Vitaly situation. Well, this guy absolutely takes the cake. I didn't know the bar could stoop lower, but he proved me wrong. So it's safe to say that Chud here, he got what he wished for, since he's caused enough outrage with his behavior that people apparently were putting up bounties on his head and trying to track him down IRL.
See, that's the my whole thing is I think that people should be able to say whatever they want without threat of violence.
You've already got a bounty on your head right now, dude.
Oh, do I?
With the bullshit.
Do I?
Yes.
Talk about the bounty. Let's talk about the bounty.
And obviously, just watching all of this unfold before we got to this massive boiling point, it felt like it was inevitable something real was going to happen.
It's only like the proper escalation, you know? It's only inevitable.
Yeah, that's one of those other streaming sites.
It's only inevitable. And he's gonna pull his gun out and try to kill me. I'm out to defend myself. And then the race war will begin.
It almost seemed like that's what his goal was.
We're in America, bro.
Man, boy, and that's when the race war will begin.
Oh, they want to threaten your life, you take theirs. You put them on the ground, then you go live on Kick. You say, look at this dumb laying dead on the ground.
Holy shit, bro. Dude,
that's how you
I'm
go.
not gonna lie,
that's how you go viral. You'll get double the followers you got. I guess.
And even claims so on Twitter. But tensions had been building across Chud's community and the general public as copycats started popping up left and right, and they were essentially just applying the same formula as slinging slurs around in public places and filming people's reactions.
What do y'all think about?
Don't say that.
Okay. I was just wondering.
What? You said N-word.
What do y'all think about?
Don't say that.
I was curious.
And I guess him and his supporters are using these safety blankets of free speech and self-defense as their excuse for this behavior. But now, Chud might be in trouble for a little bit more than just his mouth. And that's because he got not one, not two, but 3 ongoing court cases for charges in the range from thefts and disorderly conduct to attempted delete. And now, the self-proclaimed tough guy is asking people like Aiden Ross to come to his rescue and post his $1 million bail. And I guess he's like offering to box for free in his next event as an exchange.
Listen, Aiden, it's Dalton, Chud. If you can get me out, help with the bond. I cannot access my funds until I get out of here because no one has access to any of my Gifts and Go or my crypto wallets, etc. I have to get out of here so that I can get verification processes to get into all of these funds. I will fight for free. If you can help me out to post bail, I will fight for free. We'll do whatever it is you want to do, bro. I need somebody with big money who can throw down, who can support me.
And this is all while Chud's supporters think he's having his freedom stripped away unfairly, and that the people who hate him just want to see an example made of him. But ultimately, Chud might be his own worst enemy when it comes to his own downfall, because the dude just seems to be obsessed with live streaming himself fantasizing about committing the very crimes he's now claiming are self-defense.
Chud the Builder, known for starting and harassing people. Starting things and instigating and harassing people. Shoots and black man. That's what it's going to say all over the headlines. Watch me shoot this. Hey, bro, pull up. Pull up. As soon as I see you, bro, I'm shooting your brains out. Let me see a with a weapon. I'm not sparing another one because I did it last time. That guy walking up with a gun drawn should have brains out that night.
Dude, what? Yeah, it's hard to argue against your...
That is actually insane. So basically, he's actually looking for any way to get some sort of acknowledgement, basically, which is pretty insane, guys. Pretty much insane.
Self. This is just honestly a shocking example of both nihilism and main character syndrome. And if you've been following the story for the last few weeks, you know there's been a lot that happened with Chud the Builder over the last few weeks, because now he's facing some serious legal trouble. His critics and no doubt authorities are also scouring his previous posts for potential evidence, and it's safe to say that some of these things they're finding are not a great look for him whatsoever, especially when it comes to his self-defense argument. But obviously, we're talking about the live streamer Chud the Builder today, whose real name is Dalton Etherly. And a few weeks ago, I made a video on him after he made headlines for probably some of the craziest things I've covered in a long time. The most notable of these headlines were him, shooting both himself and someone else outside of a Tennessee courthouse. Now, how does that even happen? I guess you would ask that if you didn't know anything about him, but if you know anything about him, you're probably like, oh, wow, okay, yeah, that kind of makes sense now. Because Dalton has been going viral for his behavior long before he started live streaming it. In fact, he says himself that his origin story stems from one Facebook post from less than a year ago. And here he was called out for, no surprise, calling someone the N-word after he reportedly cut them off and then holding up a cross towards them. And Dalton says this caused him to lose everything. His job, another job, his family, and his church. And on top of that, this, I guess, sparked his desire to expose the hate he deals with by provoking people randomly on the street and filming it. I feel like that's the worst thing you could do in this case. What are you talking about? Like, wow, your actions had consequences. So what do? You double down on the actions that got you those consequences to begin with? What? The dude, I guess, just became a self-fulfilling prophecy, claiming that he can't get a job or provide for his family anymore because of cancel culture. And people, I guess, are now calling him a white supremacist. So now his only option here was to go around confirming everyone's belief about him to begin with. What? So yeah, that's exactly what he did. He confirmed.
It come like he actually had some way to actually have people triggered, and since he know that making people triggered would actually give him the acknowledgement that he actually acquire, and that will turn into views, basically, so the attention. So since he's getting that attention, he's utilizing it straight for the fullest, basically.
That he's a lunatic, and he started crowdfunding his child support on Twitter. I feel like I say this a lot, but what a fascinating use of free will. Life gives you so many options and paths to go down, and he chose this one. Because I guess this guy thought this was his only option to work and make money. So he didn't think about, I guess, apologizing or getting offline and trying to start fresh. No, he was just gonna double down until we get to the point where we currently are. So essentially, he says he has to stream himself saying slurs to be able to pay his child support. Really? I mean, the stupidity here is just shocking. But now, that's how Chud the Builder became an internet thing. So his behavior clearly got him banned from multiple websites like Kick, which honestly, pretty hard thing to do. It really says a lot about your character if you somehow manage to get banned on Kick, because they let pretty much anything fly. And of course, he responds to this ban by saying, once again, I've been demonetized and canceled for breaking 0 laws. It's like, yeah, dude, that's still freedom of speech. You're just not allowed to use Kick's server that they pay money and spend time upkeeping to stream yourself being a racist nuisance. I'm honestly just kind of shocked that there's so many people that just want to walk around and harass people for a living. Like, come on, can we not all just live in a society where you can walk around in public without being harassed by some random streamer or prank content creator who just wants to farm you for their own content? This is pathetic. I hate this so much. But unfortunately, this This is just the reality of 2026, apparently. Because for some reason, people treat harassing people on their IRL streams like it's their God-given right. Like, come on. But regardless, unfortunately, even if Kick bans you, the bar drops low because there are other websites where these people do gather on, like Pump Fun, because that's where he was streaming up until recently. And obviously, he's been a little preoccupied over the last few weeks, probably without any cell phone access, you know, because he's in jail. But in case you were wondering, no, he's not banned on Pump Fun after mag dumping into someone and even hitting himself and then going live in the aftermath. And then on top of that, he also titled that stream yeah. And obviously, if you've been blessed enough to have never came across any of this guy's content before, his whole bit is he singles out black people and he tries to bait some sort of reaction from them. And then as soon as they get agitated, because he repeatedly calls them the N-word to their face, and he normally does it with like a soy face. So he's like kind of like a, oh, look, no way. Hands down, the most pathetic streamer I've ever seen in my life. But again, just to be clear, he hasn't been silenced by every platform. And even if he was, that's not infringing on his First Amendment right. Because, I mean, they're websites with advertisers they have to answer to. And let me remind you, he also isn't being held behind bars with $1 million bond right now because of his words, or even because of a hateful crime. Although, I'm sure that narrative will probably be brought into this trial. But Dalton has been getting himself into trouble with the law left, right, and center. And recently, tension has been mounting up, like I mentioned, with people allegedly putting bounties on Chud's head and openly stating that if they saw him in the street, it was on site. And there's absolutely been multiple interactions he's had that seemed very dangerous before all this even happened. Regardless, if we go back a little bit, his first run-in with the law over this type of behavior, he's ran into the law before, but for this type of behavior, seems to be back in the end of 2025. The official charge is harassment here, and it dates back to November of last year. Here it says that Dalton was reportedly sending numerous threatening calls and messages to someone named Cody Grissom, and that apparently caused him alarm, annoyance, and fear. Dalton also addressed this incident on his Twitter, except that his perspective is a little bit different. He claimed that he hadn't actually engaged in harassment and his actions were purely retaliatory. Are you guys noticing a pattern yet? Well, according to him, he only forwarded harassing calls and texts that he was receiving as a result of doxing to the person who doxed him. Okay then. Now,
doxing is never okay, guys. Never dox someone.
this case was bound over to a grand jury, meaning we have to wait and find out if it'll go to trial and when, if it even does. But it shows that Chud has been at this boiling point for a while. Even though it might seem like he's only been doing this for a month or two, no, he's been doing this for a while. He just went extremely viral in the last couple of months. But hey, according to him, that harassment charge was just more persecution in his head. So apparently, anytime he faces any kind of accountability or even pushback, he sees it as like an attempt to take him down and cancel him. Like, imagine having the knowledge that a grand jury is looking over your harassment case and could announce a trial at any time. I feel like that would heighten your day-to-day anxiety, but instead, the dude went on to continue to harass people in the street. And I guess the moment he first landed on my radar was when he baited a confrontation with a guy by calling him the N-word multiple times, and in return, the dude flicked his hat. So Chud in return then took that as him attacking him, so he decided to pepper spray him and a whole group of people that was sitting outside of a restaurant eating. I mean, that clip was one of the craziest overreactions I've seen in a long time. And obviously, clips like that are not going to help him in his self-defense case, because now we have videos of him recently overreacting. And obviously, I'm no attorney, but it seems like he stepped way beyond self-defense in that instance. Like, just by the way he was acting, it seemed very obvious to me he wanted to live stream conflict and himself pepper spraying anyone who got into his personal space. But most people's introduction to Chud was probably his restaurant crash out arrest on May 9th, 2026. Here he was making a massive scene about being asked to stop live streaming inside of a restaurant, and he ended up leaving without paying, resulting in him being arrested and charged with theft under $1,000, disorderly conduct, and resisting arrest. And once again, Dalton had his own side of the story on Twitter, claiming that the restaurant owner was just mad that he called him short and exposed their unprofessionalism. Now, obviously, he's entitled to have whatever opinion he wants to have about the situation, but once again, he was not being arrested and charged for his words. This time, he was being arrested for being unable to conduct himself accordingly and also not paying an alleged $400 bill. So overall, massive skill issue. But of course, this was all going viral online. People were sharing the clips from earlier streams to prove that, I guess, he deserved to be arrested because of how he was acting. He was instigating fights by slinging around racial slurs.
You see, the thing with social media, it actually opened a way for nearly any and anyone could actually come and make a living, make a proper income, mind their wives, mind their husbands, mind their kids, you know. And a lot of people take advantage of it. And the next thing we just always forget is that not everyone is right in their mind. There are a lot of people, some screws actually missing in their brains. So this guy is actually a pretty good example of that.
And,
Serious
you know,
example.
taunting people over and over again with mace and even a firearm when they showed any signs of anger. And let's be real here, no one wants to interact with that in public. But some people cheered for his downfall and some people somehow were on Dalton's side. But then, in an even crazier turn of events, barely just a few days later, Dalton would make national news headlines for mag dumping into someone outside of a Tennessee courthouse, which is probably the craziest IRL streamer headline I've ever seen. Now, obviously, there's been a whole bunch of speculation on why he was at the courthouse, but with all the traffic charges and protective orders and child support battles, he could have been there for a whole bunch of different reasons. Who knows? But this time, it doesn't seem like he was live streaming during the altercation. Although, some people are speculating that there may be footage. We just don't know until this is released. He did, however, go live immediately after all this happened and recounted his side of the story to the police and the viewers, which I guess is his favorite thing to do right after he gets in trouble. The only problem during this, though, is he admits to approaching them and mag dumping into them, even though it feels like a little bit of a disproportionate response to being punched. I really don't think that clip is going to help him in court. Both men here were taken to the hospital and both survived the incident, but now Dalton had an entirely new set of charges to face, and none of which had anything to do with his words yet again. Because here the charges are reckless endangerment, aggravated assault, first-degree and possession of a firearm. That last charge is important because, you know, as a part of his bail conditions from the November harassment case, he was reportedly not supposed to have any firearms, which definitely doesn't make him look any better. Like, not only were you not supposed to have a firearm, but you also mag dumped into someone with it. It's all just so shocking, but what makes all this so much worse is Dalton himself had this weird foreshadowing of the happening just days before.
Talking to the Fed, like basically saying, like, we got nothing on you. As humans, want to just give you this piece of advice. They're like, you know where this is going. This only escalates. And I do know this. I just have profound faith in the Lord that things might not go the worst way possible.
So, I mean, when him and his followers run around yelling self-defense, it's hard to not look at the mountains of clips and tweets where he very clearly outlines his understanding of what he's doing and the hate and rage that he's sowing up for his content. And his supporters have also tried to justify all this by smearing the victim, 31-year-old disabled Army veteran Joshua Fox. So, according to the GoFundMe set up by his family, Josh was also a father of 3 who is now looking at a long recovery. And Chud's fan base started bringing up Joshua's previous criminal history since he's been convicted of domestic violence and apparently threatening his wife with a screwdriver.
This is a disabled Army veteran who suffers from a list of mental health conditions, and he was arrested for domestic violence after threatening his wife with a screwdriver.
Which obviously is messed up. Both of these people we're talking about today are no saints. The problem is, if he wants to use previous criminal history against people, we sort of just went over Chud's long list of run-ins with the law as well. So again, both the people we're talking about today are no saints. And there's also a supposed Facebook post being shared around from Joshua to prove it was actually premeditation on Joshua's end, despite him being unarmed and receiving 0 charges and all this. So, I mean, if these comments are real, were both of them just trying to make content? Is this not just like extremely dystopian? How is this a real situation? As of right now, though, people can really only speculate what happened because we know the outcome, but what happened up until the outcome is a little bit up in the air because, again, we haven't seen the footage of the incident. It's kind of like a he said, she
So hope you guys actually follow the channel, subscribe for the updates as well.
said right now because there were witnesses, but nobody has came forward with their side of the story from what I can see. So we're gonna have to kind of wait until this case plays out in court. Either way though, this happened outside of a courthouse, so I would be very surprised if this wasn't caught on CCTV. But obviously, when it comes to how people are judging this, Chud's behavior isn't helping him whatsoever.
This is 6 days before this event. Chud to build their posts on X. I will defend my life with lethal force. Do not approach me with intent to threaten bodily harm. And then he posts another response to himself. Series finale is dead on the pavement, and you rioting when I walk free. Stay tuned.
But either way, Dalton was hit with an absurdly high bond at $1.25 million. This has since been lowered to $1 million now. And there's been a whole bunch of talk about like who's gonna pay this bond, if anyone even does so, because he raised a whole bunch of money, but now it seems like the judge is trying to block him from using the money he raised to pay out his bond. But also, if he bonded out with that money, he would still need that money for his defense. So I don't think that would be a good move to use all of his money to just bond him out, because, you know, he needs a legal team for this. Obviously, there's been a whole bunch of speculations like, is Aiden Ross going to pay for this? Is some random gambling company going to pay for this? I don't know. Currently, he's still behind bars as of recording this video.
Listen, Aiden, it's Dalton, Chud. If you can get me out, help with the bond. I cannot access my funds until I get out of here because no one has access to any of my gifts in Go or my crypto wallets.
Can you pay his bail? Imagine the clips, dude. No, absolutely not. What the hell? Are you?
Aiden, bail out Chud the Builder and have him fight.
No, absolutely not, bro.
No, absolute terrible guy.
Regardless, Aiden Ross said he is not bailing him out, but Chud also got nearly $300,000 in his Give, Send, Go, so he got a lot of support from his community. Chud is also looking at having a bond from his earlier harassment charge that was turned over to a grand jury, either revoked or increased. So if that happens, that could mean even if someone actually donates all the money to bail him out, he might not actually be able to be bailed out. But as for the attempted murder, Chud also pleaded not guilty, and it was also turned over to a grand jury, meaning we kind of have to wait for an update in that case as well. But unfortunately for Chud, I think it's going to be a lot easier to build a case against him than it would be to build a case for the self-defense. But also, I don't doubt that that's what he's going to try to do. Okay, so we have a little bit of an update now because there was another court date on the 3rd of June. So as of recording this video, he's still in custody as his bond remains at $1 million. The judge also left the existing restrictions in place, meaning that any single bonding company can only cover up to $100,000 of the bond, which means Chud would likely need up to 10 different bonding companies to reach the full $1 million requirement for his release. He also had another hearing on June 3rd, the same day, but since the cases haven't been merged, he kind of missed that one as he was being held in custody. Regardless though, if he is found guilty of everything he's currently fighting, there's a very real possibility that he could be looking at spending the rest of his life behind bars. I mean, just for the attempted murder, he could be looking at 60 years for that alone. And the dude is already 28 years old. But for now, we kind of just have to wait and see what happens next. So drop a like on this video and subscribe if you want me to cover the next update.
That's pretty crazy, guys. 15 to 60 years he could actually face in prison, especially for that attempted, where he actually mark dump into a guy. Pretty awesome word to use though, mark dump. Yeah. So please, people, do not be that guy. If you're doing content creation, do it for the love of it. Do not go interfering with people. A lot of people does that just to get those trending videos, and those trending videos is what you would need to get views, which is true. More views means more money and stuff like that, but when it comes down to you have to make jail and stuff like that, that's where the problem lies, guys. So if you guys like this video, hit a like on this video, comment down below, let me know what you guys actually think about these videos, guys. Subscribe to the channel as well. Trying to reach 20,000 subscribers. We at 18,000 something at this point in time. Check out these other 2 videos that are on your screen at this moment. It was your boy Top You, and I'm out, guys.